This is my AGI Studio One work in progress video number 3, covering weeks 5 and 6. For my selection of related works, I used the concept of staging, one of the principles in animation, to see how this is used effectively in a couple of selected films. The research into staging was a result of brainstorming during consultation, to identify what style of storytelling I was using to convey my concept. Some of the terms that were brainstormed included abstract environmentalism, environmental storytelling, perspective storytelling, and stage storytelling, to name a few. I selected the Pixar film A Bug's Life to try and understand how staging was used to convey the meaning of size. The story focuses on the misfit ant named Flick, who finds aid in the form of a group of circus bugs in the fight against a gang of grasshoppers. The opening scene takes the audience from a human's view of the world to then slowly zoom in to peer into a bug's perspective and world. The slowed down effect helps to build the curiosity and intent of wanting to know what is beyond the human world. It gives the illusion that something may not be quite as it seems. It's an effective use of timing and camera movement, with a close-up shot of a lone grass reed before an ant climbs up into the scene. Eventually, the camera focuses onto the background to reveal many more ants climbing up to collect seed. To a small insect like an ant, a clover may resemble a tree. Cracked mud that's been dried in the blistering sun resembles a canyon. Objects are somehow more translucent and adds more color to the miniature world. I think this is what you might call putting things into perspective. By using a mini bug cam that was attached to a Lego toy to capture scenes of flora and fauna, this technique helped to get a true feeling of how one can view things from a perspective that's almost unfamiliar. In the next film, I examined the use of flat staging and composition in Tom Moore's animated film Song of the Sea. The movie centers around a boy who discovers that his mute sister is a Selkie, meaning sea folk in Celtic and Nordic mythology, and must find her voice to free supernatural creatures from the spell that's been cast by a Celtic goddess. Flat staging involves the composition of an image or a scene that has no depth or perspective. In the film, there are several recurring symbols and shapes used throughout. In a research paper by Kim Sung-hyun and Lee Tae-hoon, they explored the film's use of flat staging using recurring shapes that were symbolic of themes, as well as static and balanced composition, and flat images using inverted perspective. Through flat staging, the two-dimensional aspect of the film was further enhanced by the use of elements to add depth and to convey the magical feeling of storytelling. While sound is what I am primarily using to add depth to my work, this film has also given me something to think about in terms of using symbolism to be used to add to the immersion. Weeks 5 and 6 were focused on refinements to the two animation sequences I created. The first concept is the Novelty Lighthouse water bottle. While little effort went into the composition and camera work because it came about so effortlessly, a lot of time was spent on the actual design. I struggled with getting the right illustration of the lighthouse water bottle. I drew sketches of actual bottles of waters and tried to make it look like a lighthouse. What resulted was that of a novelty-type item, a water bottle that happened to be shaped like a lighthouse. In a way, you can think of it as a water bottle that has a handy flashlight to use. Novelty, am I right? After exploration, I decided to keep the idea of a novelty lighthouse-shaped water bottle and forego the idea of using a bottle of water that happened to have a light on its cap. To me, it didn't make too much sense. I also preferred the magic that the Novelty Lighthouse water bottle had, as if it was an object that's rare to find and a limited edition. The refinement process also allowed me to learn more skills in Toon Boom through trial and error, such as the use of color and how it's linked. Unless duplicated, I didn't realize that the same concept that applied to frame also applied to color. I ended up somehow removing the color from the light strobe, so I ended up having to manually color it again with the right one this time around. Here is the final outcome of the animation sequence. The second animation sequence I worked on was the orange juice box. This was taken from my original idea of the juice box ramen shop. However, I was struggling with finding a common theme between the two objects. Instead, I decided to explore this further and take the opportunity to do an isometric animation sequence of an orange tree that would slowly pan out to reveal an orange juice box next to it, but happened to be in the milk section. The idea I was exploring here was the comparison between organic and processed through common household products. I had more fun with this concept because it allowed me to play with an unordinary concept using two objects, while similar in form, different in context. It allowed me to also have a bit of creative fun in using sound to add a comedic feel to it. Sound also helped me with the element of surprise when the camera would slowly pan out to reveal a scene that was rather unexpected. I would have included a background if I had more time. Here is the final outcome of my orange in the milk section animation sequence. How I intend to connect these different animation sequences is through sound, style, and flat staging composition. While I feel that I may have slightly steered away from the concept I wanted to explore regarding ordinary objects with hidden secrets, in phase of creating weekly animation sequences. The initial plan was to convert all of the first 6 weeks' work into 3D using the Grease Pencil tool in Blender for its ability to animate 2D in a 3D space, so ideally I would like to stick with this plan.